All right, everybody, we've gotten to the point where we have to do a little bit of theory. I hate to badmouth theory all the time. I don't mean to. It's very important, but I realize that if I throw too much at you right away, sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming. So we've built our way up slowly to get to the point where we could start to do a little bit and it'll actually make sense. Sometimes I know I teach people things, or at least in the past, and they nod their head and they act like they know what I'm talking about. And sometimes it turns out that they didn't really understand what I was talking about till much later. So over the years, I've learned how to teach theory in a way to just kind of slide it in at the right time so that it makes sense and it's usable. So what we learned previously was the formula for the major scale. So if you remember, it was whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So 2 whole steps and a half step, 3 whole steps and a half step. It's very important to remember that because we're going to be building scales, major scales, in different keys today. So when I say different keys, you'll hear people say, oh, this is in the key of G, this is in the key of C, and so on. It just depends what set of chords you're going to be using and which scale you're building all this from. So we're going to be building the scale, the mother scale I call it, that we're going to use later to build chord progressions and solo and make melodies and all that stuff. So what we did last time was we just started at C. In this case, I went to the 2nd string, 1st fret, and I went C, whole step to D, whole step to E, half step to F, whole step to G, whole step to A, whole step to B, half step to C. We're going to do all of these today on one string, okay? Not the same string all the time, but different strings, but we're going to stay on one string as we climb. That way it looks more like a piano and you can see the notes going up. If I go across the strings right now, it might not make any sense, the amount of half steps and whole steps I'm going. So for example, if I went, okay, I'm going from here to the next open string, it might be a little more cryptic on how far I'm actually moving up. But if I actually go up some frets, you're going to see the distance, just plain as day, hopefully. Okay, so we already have C down. The great thing about the key of C is there's no sharps or flats. If you forgot what that means, if let's say I'm at C and I go up only a half step, that's C sharp. If I'm on D, I could think of it from that direction. If I go backwards too, I could think of that as D flat. It just depends what key you're in. We'll get more into that in a little bit. Okay, so let's try our next key. We already got C down. Remember, no sharps, no flats, so it's all natural. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. The next key we're going to do is the key of G. A great way to show G is actually to go to the 3rd fret of the 1st string. That's the G that you remember from the first couple lessons that we did when we were learning spider exercise and all that stuff. So if we go from G and we go up a whole step, that's A. A whole step from A is B. So there's our 2 whole steps, G, A, B so far. Half step is C. Whole step from there is D. Whole step from there is E. We're getting way up there on the neck. Whole step, this is where it gets interesting. A whole step from E is actually F sharp. Because we have to go a whole step according to the formula, because it's 3 whole steps and then a half step. And then our half step is going to bring us back home to the G, which is here is the octave G. So you could say the key of G major has 1 sharp, the F sharp. Let's do that again. So 3rd fret, 1st string is G, whole step up is A, whole step up is B. There's our 2 whole steps. Our half step goes to C. Now we have to do 3 whole steps in a row. Ready? Go. Whole step to D, whole step to E, whole step to F sharp, half step to G. Okay. That's really important, by the way. You might not understand it 100% yet why that's really important, that we have a sharp finally in one of our scales, but in the future when we start building chords, you're going to understand how important that is. Okay, let's just do a handful of keys today. We're not going to do all of them. There's 12 of them. We're going to do maybe 4 or 5, okay? So that was the key of G. We could say the key of G has 1 sharp, the F sharp. The key of C has 0. The next key we're going to do is the key of D. So for this one, we're going to go to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Don't go to the 1st string. That's the one we just did. Now we're going to be on the 3rd fret, 2nd string, D. So now we do our formula. Whole step from D is E. Whole step from E is F sharp. That F sharp follows us to this key. Half step up from that is G. Now we have our 3 whole steps. Ready? Whole step up from that is A. Whole step up from that is B. Whole step up from that is C sharp, because remember B and C are usually right next to each other, but we have to go up a whole step, so it becomes C sharp. And then a half step up from that is D, octave D. So now we have 2 sharps. We have F sharp and C sharp in the key of D. So remember that. C has 0, G has 1 sharp, D has 2. And they go in a certain order, so they're easy to remember. C has 0, G has 1 sharp, which was F sharp. D major has 2 sharps. The F sharp carries over, and then we add the C sharp. So the next key, you're going to guess it's probably easy. It's 3 sharps, and that's the key of A. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the 3rd string, 2nd fret. That's A. Let's do our climb. Ready? So we know F sharp and C sharp is going to be in here, but we're going to add another one, okay? Here's A. Whole step is B. Whole step is C sharp. Half step is D. Here come our 3 whole steps. Ready? Whole step is E. Whole step from that is F sharp. Whole step from that is G sharp. And then a half step from there is the octave A. So we took the F sharp and the C sharp and we added the G sharp. So that's 3 sharps in the key of A. Remember, I don't really care if you understand why this is all happening, but just keep the idea in mind that we're adding a sharp with each of these keys, okay? And the final key that we're going to look at today as far as building the major scale starting at a certain point is going to be E. So you could probably guess it right now. E major has 4 sharps. So the F sharp, the C sharp, and the G sharp are going to follow us, but we're going to add one more, okay? Let's start with open E. Let's go a whole step up. Remember, that's going to be the 2nd fret. That's F sharp. Whole step up from that is G sharp. Half step is A. Here come the 3 whole steps. Ready? Go. B, C sharp, D sharp is the new sharp. And then half step to your octave E. Remember, the 12th fret is the same as the open string octave. Okay, E one more time. Ready? E, F sharp, G sharp. Half step to A. Whole step to B. Whole step to C sharp. Whole step to D sharp. Half step to E. That one's fun. Check it out. It's a great little scale to improvise on if people are jamming in the key of E. It's great. You can do pull-offs. I don't know. Something crazy like that. But anyways, you get the idea. So we're building our scales from the ground up, starting with C, going to G, 1 sharp, D, 2 sharps, A, 3 sharps, E, 4 sharps. There's a few more to worry about in the future, but right now we're going to stick to those just to stay sane, okay? So go over those again. Make sure you get it in your memory. There's a little memory trick you could do for this too, but I'll show you that later. Right now, I just want you to build these scales from the ground up.